Let's just start with this video. Let's go.
I thought we were done talking.
Shut up. Let's play it.
A Baker County high school senior is in the hospital after collapsing on the tennis courts.
Breaking new details on the deaths of a high school soccer player.
Finland, Denmark star man Christian Eriksen collapsing towards the end of the first half.
The Kennedy High community mourning tonight after one of their high school football players died.
A South Carolina high school football player has died after collapsing at football practice.
Star college basketball player collapsing on the court. We want to warn you, the video may be difficult to watch.
Florida Gators star Keontae Johnson collapsing during the game.
A West Catholic high school student has died after collapsing during a football scrimmage.
On mile 8, she suddenly felt fuzzy and blacked out.
17-year-old Ryan Jacobs' heart stopped.
Unexpectedly collapsed on the field.
Megan went into cardiac arrest.
Collapsing during Friday night's football game.
Mostly young men.
The reason for his collapse is unknown.
The reason why Manny collapsed in the first place still isn't known.
So you might be wondering how someone in such great shape could suffer cardiac arrest.
It's a rare thing that happens.
The music isn't ours. Yeah, but I mean, it just, I get it. It is
Coroner
very
says
sad.
the condition is rare.
It's just one of those tragedies.
Did she have any signs before this race?
Absolutely not. She felt like she was in the best shape of her life.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
USC wants to attack, but you've got to be careful. He collapsed. He collapsed.
We have a player down.
Something happened to one of the referees.
We've had a heartbreaking situation here.
What an intro.
Yes. I know. I guess we have to keep talking about this because what was in the news today? The big news today. What passed in the House?
Oh, a federal vaccine database.
Yes, a federal vaccine database. We were betrayed by left and right. And what was that thing about the FDA not wanting to release the research for this vaccine for like 40 years or something, 50 years?
For this vaccine?
Yeah, that they were gonna like do like a slow drip of the research that they found for this vaccination, and they're gonna wait like 50 years before they share what they found out, and I think people are going after them in court saying, "Show us now." And but the stats from around the globe, guys, is the most vaccinated places in the countries that are the most vaccinated have the most cases of COVID. It's the greater spread. Japan, after they introduced ivermectin, they've seen a kind of plummeting of COVID cases and deaths. And in America, states that like Florida that have not mandated vaccines, they've also are the most free, lowest COVID cases, low COVID death. The most vaccinated states, most COVID cases, most hospitalizations. The pandemic of the unvaccinated is narrative. It should be falling apart according to the data, but of course we are not listening to the news. We're listening to propaganda, and so stats from around the globe says that the vaccinations are not accomplishing the stopping of the spread of coronavirus, any variant. The vaccinated can get it and spread it, so I don't understand why. And we could also all be creating the variants. We shut up travel from South Africa region, but our border is wide open. Millions of illegal immigrants that are unvaccinated, not required to be vaccinated, are coming into the country. But we want to stop flights from South Africa to stop the mighty Omicron variant. And curiously, they skipped Xi because they didn't want to offend Xi Jinping, the World Health Organization. And so we are now on Omicron, ahead of schedule. And so there's also heart problems associated with this, but sports stars dropping dead of heart attacks. Just a lot of heart attacks. And then in the UK, they've seen 44% increase in child deaths after jab rollout for young teens. And so these kinds of stats are can be found for those looking for it. It will not be reported easily. You have to look for this stuff. And so it's did you show that article?
Which study? This one?
Yeah. UK sees 44% increase in child deaths after jab rollout for young teens, the data shows. Deaths among 10 to 14-year-olds have been consistently above the national 5-year average since the shot started being administered to children, according to a report. So I don't want to read all of it, but this is the data can be looked at, and you guys can go online and look for this. If you could go to the heart problem, the journal.
Right here.
And so the mRNA COVID vaccines dramatically increase endothelial inflammatory markers and ACS risk as measured by pulse cardiac test, a warning. Look at right at the end here. It says these changes resulted in the increase of pulse score from 11% 5-year ACS risk to 25%. At the time of this report, these changes persist for at least 2.5 months post second dose of vaccination. We conclude that the mRNA vax dramatically increased inflammation in the endothelium and T-cell infiltration of cardiac muscle and may account for the observations of increased thrombosis, cardiomyopathy, and other vascular events following vaccination. And this is next to also the myocarditis situation that happens to people, especially young people that have died from it. I don't know if we posted all those articles of teenagers dying in America from myocarditis after the shot, being permanently damaged. What's her name? She reported to the Senate. Her name is, I can't recall right now. But there's a young girl. She's bound to her wheelchair for the rest of her life now. Myocarditis, guys, is not going to be a temporary situation for your children. It is a lifelong condition and something that you have to deal with for the rest of your life. And so these heart problems are clearly part of the risk of vaccination. Miscarriages. Scientists admit they did manipulate the data. And so when the data came out, some people put it together. Authors claim the number of people to suffer a spontaneous miscarriage during the study was 104 out of 827 completed pregnancies, equating that the risk of miscarriage at 12.6%, 7 to 12% lower than the risk of miscarriage in general population. However, our analysis proved that these numbers were extremely misleading due to the fact that of the 827 completed pregnancies, 86% of the women had received a dose of either the Pfizer or Moderna COVID-19 vaccine during the third trimester of pregnancy, meaning it was impossible for them to suffer miscarriage due to the fact that they can only occur prior to week 20 of a pregnancy. So this is how you gerrymander and screw with statistics and play with numbers, guys. This meant that just 127 women received either the Pfizer or Moderna COVID-19 vaccine during the second trimester, with 104 of the women sadly losing their baby. Dude. Therefore, the rate of incidence of miscarriage was 82%, not 12.6%, as presented in the findings of the study, and the authors of the study have since admitted that they made a mistake, issuing a correction 6 months too late because the study has been used to justify COVID-19 vaccination of pregnant women and new mothers around the world. Guys, when your doctor tells you that it's completely safe, it's based on the former research and the screwing with the numbers for the stats. They said you don't lose your baby based on all cases from first to third trimester. But what you should measure is the first and second, right? And so when you do that, it's 80-something%. That's insane in the women that were studied in this. But now 2 researchers from New Zealand have reanalyzed the study and called for countries to halt administration of COVID-19 vaccines to pregnant and breastfeeding women immediately due to extremely concerning findings. The correction resolves some of the issues, but there are still more, according to Dr. Simon Thornley, a senior lecturer in the University of Auckland section of Epidemiology and Biostatistics, and Dr. Alicia Brock, another researcher in New Zealand. According to Dr. Thornley, the article's conclusions haven't changed substantially, as we believe is warranted from our reanalysis of the association related to early exposure to the vaccine in pregnancy, which indicates a substantially increased risk from background. Thornley and Brock reanalyzed the data and calculated the incidence of miscarriage in the first trimester was actually 82% to 91% in a paper published in Science, Public Health Policy, and the Law.
91%.
That's insane. All right, can you go up a little bit more? So, of the 827 pregnancies reported through VSafe's registry operated by the CDC, 712 resulted in a live birth. Nearly all of them were among women who were vaccinated in the third trimester. Of the other pregnancy, 104 resulted in miscarriage. Most of those occurred before 13 weeks of gestation. Using data from the study and several estimates, the New Zealand researchers calculated that spontaneous abortion occurred in 81.9% to 91.2% of the women who were vaccinated before 20 weeks of gestation. Thornley and Brock conclude in their analysis that they question the conclusions of the Shimbakuro study to support the use of the mRNA vaccine in early pregnancy, which has now been hastily incorporated into many international guidelines for vaccine use, including in New Zealand. All right, you could find this. I encourage you to read it and weighing your decision to do this if you're pregnant. And people will say, well, it's safe in the third trimester, but there have been incidences where they lose their baby in the third trimester as well. It's just not as much as this. It's a smaller percentage. It's more rare. But there's also been incidences where children have died from breast milk, which is very rare, where newborn babies are dying from breast milk because of COVID-19 vaccination administered to the mother during right after giving birth. So, you guys need to do your research. It just seems so ridiculous to risk this when there's other things available to help you face this virus. You know, there is a stat, a graph. I don't know if you can find it right now. I should have found it earlier, John. But
I'll look for
in
it.
Japan and and how they introduced ivermectin into Japan, and their case rates just drop. It's like a roller coaster ride. It just drops. And you know, they still call it horse dewormer, even though there's so much stuff online that you could find on the efficacy of ivermectin for so many diverse uses. And also it's been being used in so many countries, and they're having amazing results, but it's just not going to be on our evening news. So if you can't find it, I'll
I think I found it, but
really? So as John is looking for that, we wanted to talk about Omicron, and it just seems dubious to me, the things that they're saying about this virus from South Africa. It's just annoying, man. And the fact that if you get vaccinated, you can still get the disease and spread it. I don't understand why they're demonizing unvaccinated people. And did you know in Germany, bro, that they are having a lockdown only for unvaccinated people? People, do you guys know that in Australia they have camps? And several teenagers, they got COVID, and so they were sent to these camps, not voluntarily. They're sent to the camp. They escaped in the middle of the night, and there was a search party for them as if they were criminals running away from prison. Australia has camps. Oh my God. You know, people are slow. The Australia thing, we've known for many months now. And I had somebody last week tell me, hey, did you hear what's going on in Australia? It's crazy, man. I just heard. And I'm like, just heard? They've had camps in Australia for several months now. It should have been on but that's how bad our news system is and our social media system is. They are censoring this stuff, and so that we won't see it. But did you find it?
Yeah. So they're saying that. So on August 13th, they introduced ivermectin, and they were able to bring it back down. So I found this graph.
Can I just see the graph?
Yeah. It's daily new cases, August.
Right here.
Yeah.
So they introduced ivermectin in August?
Yeah, August 8th or something, yeah.
Yeah, and then as soon as they introduce, it just starts dipping.
And over here too, like even though they did all the masks, and they're very clean in Japan too, so it's like they still have these daily deaths, and it just ebbs and flows. Yeah. And then I think right around here, and then they got it.
They got it down. It follows the case rates. So there's so much lies about this.
This is really good data, actually. The same peak, but this hump of death is a lot lower.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But it's horse medication. You're not a horse.
I'm gonna kick your ass. Get some. Find some. There's some doctors out there that will prescribe it for you. And yes. The other thing. So Omicron. It just stinks to me. So can you put up the symptoms of the new Omicron variant of coronavirus? That picture. I think it's in the.
Which one did you send it to me?
Yeah, remember it's the.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Right. So it rarely causes any unusual symptoms for its carriers, and some of them are asymptomatic. The following are some of the most common coronavirus symptoms. COVID-19 patients commonly suffer from fever, weakness and pain in the muscle often accompany it. So this is just basically, how COVID has been like that. Your throat may feel sore as well. COVID-19 is typically characterized by cough, either dry or productive. There might be breathing difficulties. A number of heart-related complications may occur, including heart failure, arrhythmias, heart inflammation, and blood clots. They seem to have covered all of it. Disorientation, dizziness, altered mental state, and headache. COVID fog or COVID brain fog is a kind of, and there's a other list. But the thing that I want to highlight here is the heart issues. They're putting in Omicron. Basically what this does, from every virus variant in the future, it covers anything of a side effect from the vaccinations. Like, if people get heart attacks from vaccination, they could include that now as part of the new variant of Omicron. And I'm sure, what's after Omicron? Whatever the next thing is. They're going to cover all of this. The other thing that they're saying is, the Wall Street Journal, the founder of BioNTech, says that you can spread COVID. There's an article. Can we just look at the title, the headline? That he admits it here. Omicron risks infecting vaccinated people, but may not cause them severe illness. But here's the problem with that. They're admitting it, right? You could still get COVID. The vaccination is not supposed to stop COVID. It's supposed to help you to abate symptoms. It's basically a therapeutic. It's not a vaccine. It functions kind of like one, but it abates symptoms. It doesn't stop you from getting it, and it doesn't stop you from spreading it. So I don't understand the database and the vaccine mandate. I don't understand how. And how is it that the most vaccinated countries are the ones spreading it the most? I don't know, bro. My brain is starting to hurt. So now they want you to get endless boosters, and it's not going to actually stop you from getting it. All right, so what else do we got here? Is that it? The Wall Street Journal was the last part?
Yeah, it was the last part.
Okay, so your thoughts?
It's crazy to see that it's gone this far. And I think what they were saying is, like, they're using this to say younger kids can get vaccinated now. Like, they're pushing it so that, like, symptoms are happening in young kids or something, so they can push this to get more dosage out of it. But at this point, it's kind of ridiculous how far it has to go to push this. And I will say that I really thought, like, overall they're going to stop this, because how are they going to, like, continue with the economy? Mm-hmm. But I think what a lot of those things about the new reset and happening, and this is actually all according to plan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they're just going to keep pushing this until they have us, like, completely in their palms, basically. And it's not going to end. They're going to go to, like, numbers now.
Yeah. They're saying Omicron is worse for kids, coincidentally, as children
that's what I was, like,
being
thinking,
vaccinated.
Yeah.
And do you know what else they keep saying? Okay, the other thing was, I was watching this analysis that doctors were informed that during the time that the COVID vaccine is rolled out for children, that they were also warned that during that time, they're going to see an increase of within children, spontaneous what's that disease when you get paralyzed?
Bell's palsy?
Not
Guillain-Barré syndrome?
Yeah, but that's from vaccinations. I'm talking about, like, the disease that caused it. What did Franklin Roosevelt have? Franklin Roosevelt had, why was he in a wheelchair? I forget what disease that was. We need a doctor. We're going to have hopefully a doctor on soon.
It was a neuro. They're saying it's GBS.
What?
Yeah.
What's that disease, bro?
Mild proteinuria?
No. It's an old disease. We get vaxxed for it. Polio. So kids are gonna get a random, a rare polio-like disease, which, curiously, has the same reaction and symptoms as the adverse reactions from the vaccination: Guillain-Barré syndrome, facial paralysis. What else is there? Anything like that might be randomly seen amongst kids at this time, and this was predicted a few months ago, and doctors are told to watch out for it during this winter season, and just in time for the vaccine rollout. Yes, I am insinuating, and give me a break. And so these people are making a killing, and literally killing people.
It's funny that Bill Gates Foundation is all about polio.
Of course, he's the one warning us about the new outbreaks at airports of smallpox. But here's the other thing that is an elephant in the room, and we'll close with this. How did they prepare all of these vaccines? You know, if all these companies were pumping out vaccines full time, it would take 20 years to produce enough vaccinations for this country.
I think I saw that statistic somewhere, because there was a guy who was like a distributor and engineer.
Yes.
Right? And he was saying there's no way that they have this many doses to give out.
Yeah, how did they make them all this fast? Because it would have taken like 15 years or something, 15 to 20 years to produce enough for this amount of people. And so how did they do that? Because it's not possible. How did they do it in 2 years? Right? Not even 2 years. What, 1 year? How did they do this?
I guess they were able to make masks for
So
everybody.
my last rant is this. Why did they have a vaccine database for COVID when the vaccine doesn't stop the spread of the disease, nor does it stop the variants from forming? The variants come, to be generously said, some scientists are saying the variants come from the vaccinated, but let's say it's just from those who get it and spread it, they're creating variants, right? So everyone then is, right? Everyone is. This pandemic of the unvaccinated, this narrative doesn't make any sense. But it's being pushed, and there's a database. They voted for a database. It's not like these people are idiots. So why do you need vaccine passes when you're spreading it still?
And the funny thing is, only people who are vaccinated can travel right now.
And they're spreading it. So the vaccine pass has no point other than control. See, okay, so the reason why the database thing really disturbs me, really bothers me, is because if they know that if you're vaccinated and you can spread the disease, then they know that the vaccine passes are just, they don't work. Like the passes are there to make sure that you're vaccinated so you don't spread it, right? But you are spreading if you're vaccinated. So give up on the pass, right? So, the passes, we need to come up with a vaccine that doesn't spread the disease. Then we can have these passes. But they're not. They're just going forward with it, even though they know that vaccinated people are spreading the disease still. And so they're going around the world spreading it, right? So then it's like, pull back on the vaccine passes in airports and just kind of like, let's wait and like, but they're just steamrolling through with this thing. It's completely then to me that they are all about just using this thing for control. They're up to something. I'm pretty confident to know what they're up to. The material to research what they've been planning, ID 2030 and all of this stuff, to me is I thought it was just they were just thinking about these things, but they're really pushing for this hard in the paint against Shaq. Like they are pushing hard for it. So I just hope that people don't live in fear and comply because they're afraid, and comply because they want to just fit in with everybody. Right now, the vaccine passes are a joke. You know, you go and flash a piece of paper, and most likely people will be like, yeah, okay, that's good. But eventually, that's the reason why there's stupid pieces of paper with pen that could be written by any pharmacist at Walgreens or CVS or Rite Aid, is because it can be frauded easily. And they want that right now, because ID 2030 is not about a paper ID. It's about a database and also your personal information to confirm that you have the vaccination. And so they're going to switch that thing out, and they're going to say there's too much fraud. And in order to do this, then we're going to have to upgrade what this is. So you're going to help be part of something to keep the world safe from COVID-19. And they're going to upgrade the ID to be something more substantial. So this is insane. I can't believe this is happening. And we need to resist. We need to resist. Not be ashamed of not getting boosters, endless boosters that can continue to risk giving me heart attacks and blood clots and all kinds of stuff. And stop giving in to these people in power. And that's, I guess, the end of this. But Omicron.
So the next episode will be called Pie. So I guess we're just going to make an episode for each
variant?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We'll update with each variant.
Oh, My Cron. That should be the episode. Oh, My Cron.
All right, bye, guys.
Good night.